Oh, good evening, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and this is PRT, and people call me Wolf. So there's that. Please pray for my wife. She's not doing too good. She's been having chest pains and I just want to tell you guys I'm going to do what I have to do until the end of this year. We're going to try and tough it out to the end of this year, and then we're going to reevaluate what we're going to do. I may just go into writing, and so all I got to do is deal with critics on Amazon. I don't need this crap. Some really, really evil people out there, and they infect this community. It's unfortunate. And if you say anything, then everybody gets all upset with you, like you did something wrong, hurt their feelings, made them mad, whatever, because you're supposed to be a robot. Mm. But tonight, I got so much going on this coming week. Tonight, I have to get the show done here. My Rangers won big today, so I'm happy about that. Texans blew it in the last seconds of the game against the Falcons. That sucks. But it is what it is. Sports is sports, right? You want to give them the coordinates and get everything started, Anthony?
Yeah, you can send your paranormal experiences you can submit them to the show to Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. It'll be scrolling at the top of the screen once the camera's on Wolf. The Patreon's at the bottom left of the screen. It's at patreon.com/prtpodcast. We have $10 tiers through a $50 tier. The higher tier you join, the more you get. Regardless, you're gonna get more than your money's worth back, and we'll put your name on a Patreon like a title card on all of our YouTube videos. So it's really good, and everyone who is a Patreon subscriber, your swag bag should be in the mail if it hasn't come through already. We've sent all of them out, and yeah, I think that about covers it.
Okay, so anyways, dealing with situation here. It's hard to do, folks. I got to tell you, it's hard to do what I do and deal with, So on the phone earlier with some people, and that's why I'm running late, and just couldn't get it together, couldn't get things done. I mean, it's like people have been messing with my channel, and I'm just, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it all. I'm gonna be moving my channel to Rumble, so they can have it. I'm just, I'm so tired of it. So I will let you guys know when, and we decide how we're gonna do that. Mm. So just letting the chat fill up a little bit. I got some stories we can talk about tonight. I had a story that we were going to put on the show on Tuesday, and we ended up talking about it. And I know it's a pretty good one, but we ended up keeping it. Yeah, Nelson Pinella says, let's just say make PRT about PRT. Yeah, I'd like to. I would. At some point, you have to weigh, like, what's it worth to you? Is it worth to keep fighting these people to try to protect your channel, your interests, your family? What's really discouraging is that you're under attack and then people are telling you to ignore it. I can't. I can't ignore something when somebody makes 100 profiles and and you don't know which way is up. It's kind of hard to ignore that. I keep seeing that in groups. People act like it's just an easy thing to just block and delete. You can't. We can't do. I mean, do you want to explain? Because I'm tired of explaining. I'm tired of trying to explain to people what we're going through.
Well, all I can say to y'all is that if you're gonna come at us and say, well, just block him or just ignore it and it'll go away with your simple little smooth brain koala mind, I would advise you to take your own advice. And if you don't like it, don't look. If you don't like it, then you ignore it and you be quiet. I'm gonna tell you the same thing that you tell us. Don't like it, don't look. Just ignore it. Don't look at it, and just sit down and be quiet. So if it's okay for y'all to tell us that, so it's okay for us to tell you that. Just lead, follow, or get out of the way. Obviously, you want to get out of the way. All right, that's your best option. Just sit down and be quiet, and just ignore it. That's all you got to do, right? Take your own advice, since you're so smart with your smooth brain. I'm pretty tired of hearing that too.
Yeah, that's what's going on. And it takes everything in us to sit up here and try to act normal and do a show and whatever when people are doing what they're doing and my wife is on the verge of having a nervous breakdown. And I'm going to tell you right now, dude, I mean, if that happens, if something happens to my wife, well, I mean, I can't do this anymore. And I know that's what they want, but they're going to get it because I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to put my wife through this anymore, this roller coaster. I'm not going to put my family through this meat grinder, this roller coaster, this war. They wanted war, and they got it. And apparently that's been in the works for a while. This individual was going around saying that there was some sort of alliance coming against me, whatever, pretending like he was a good guy. No, he's not. I don't even think he's the author of it, though, honestly. There's other people involved. And they've been plotting downfall for a long time for me. Target. Why? Because I refuse to bow down and play their games. I refuse to suck up to them and tell them that they're, good and doing what's right. Whatever. They're not good. They're not doing what's right. And I'm not going to sit there and let them tee off and attack my friends. I'm sorry. I'm a loyal person. I defend my people. I just wasn't raised like that. So we're going to see how the next week or two goes. Don't be surprised if I no longer do the live streams. We may, Anthony, we talked about this, Tony. We're probably just going to cut it back to doing the pre-records, no commentary. It's just, and then from there, we'll decide whether or not we keep doing it at all. Say what you want. They win. I don't care anymore. I'm done. This guy has done everything. He's accused us of home invasions. He's accused us of cyber attacking him. Everything he's doing too. He's accusing us of. I mean, home invasion. There's no home invasion, but it's just so. I mean, where do you draw the line? At some point, I have to say, look, I can't sit up here. I have stories ready to go. The people gave me some pretty intriguing stuff, and I apologize to the people who gave me those stories because I'm trying to get to it, and I didn't want to bring it on my channel, but all he does is make content based on attacking me, and I'm really sick of it, and he's got my allies all turned around and, whatever. I know who my enemies are, okay? There's no confusion with me. I know who you are. I know exactly, there's 4 of you. I know exactly who you are. I know I know everything about you. Everything about you. Your records, everything. Everything I know. I have it all. So you just say my name and I will push the nuke button, and it's on. I promise you that's going to happen. So you may mess with me or do whatever you do, but it will destroy you, your reputations, and all of your everything. You will be absolutely done. Okay? I don't want to have to do that, but there's some pretty damaging things that I have. You think what you have on me is that you have nothing on me. Nothing. Okay? Because I'm clean. You're not. So I would suggest you shut up and stay in your lane. And this little goofball up there, he's not going to know what hit him. It's coming down the pipe. And I got to sit back and be patient. In the meantime, endure his attacks. But what I can't do is have people telling me to just sit here and be quiet. Douglas, you moron. And all you other little turkeys that are over there running around. Please don't come back. Do not leave my channel. Do not come back. I don't want anything, don't want anything to do with you. If you're that stupid, you don't need to be listening to go away, because if you're that stupid, you don't need to be a part of what we're doing. Clint, you're another one. I'm not gonna say your last name. Go away. Stay on there. Go play around on their channel with the fakery and all of the bull crap. You like fake. That's where it's at. They got it going on with the fakeness.
And very, very bad grammar and spelling.
And that's how we were able to link all these accounts back to Chelsea, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Marlow, Oklahoma. Because your grammar, you don't know how to spell.
We're not just armchair researchers.
This is what I'm going to tell you. I got a message from a guy, a fake account. I know it was you. My mother's burning in hell. Does that sound familiar? And I'll join her. That's what you said? Yeah, during the whole thing with Vic. Yeah, it was you. You did it. I know you did it. And now I know. But Vic, why be so quick to jump because somebody spammed you with a bunch of complaints from a bunch of different accounts, and then you jumped on me? Not even listening to what I said on the live stream, you just ran with it? Ridiculous. That was ridiculous on your part to do that the day my mother died. But it worked, didn't it? It worked. It got us fighting, didn't it? Same thing with Jessica. Got us fighting, didn't it? It worked, didn't it? This guy's been doing it for a long time. So don't tell me about block and delete. But you did me a favor, because those are people that I don't need to associate with in this community. You come to my conference and pretend like you're my friend. You know who you are. Yeah. You're a spy all along. Just so you could kind of act weird toward me and not be nice or whatever, and then run back and tell him a bunch of crap. This is what we're dealing with, this spider that's been at work, spinning his web of deceit, doing what he's been doing. I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. I'm here to do paranormal and cryptids and talk about these things, alien abduction. This is the stuff we're here for. We're not here for this crap. Nobody wants this. If you think I'm enjoying this, you're out of your freaking mind. You think I like watching my wife suffer? You think I like watching people slander me and slander my family? This is going to end very badly for several people. I don't know. Maybe me included. Who knows? I've been through a lot in my life. I thought I'd been just about seen it all. But I have not seen someone work like this, underhanded. If you people out there doing this stuff, if y'all would put all this energy that you have for malevolence into building something, actually being a part of something, and stop being so jealous and deceitful, imagine what we could have. Imagine what we could build. Imagine what we could do. Do you people really know what we have here is something special? What they've built over at Hellbent Holler is something special. What Bettina built was something special. She's the only one of her kind, literally, like a literal unicorn. She's not perfect. Nobody is. And why you would want to see all that be destroyed is just because you have a dark, evil, black heart. You're an evil person. And I don't want to be in your shoes on Judgment Day or when you pass over. I can't imagine what's going to happen. I don't even want to think about it. It scares me to think about being that way because I am afraid of God. But obviously, you don't even believe in Him. And for you all to sit up there and talk about God and Christ, you don't have Christ in your heart. Don't say that you do and do these things. Don't tell me that you have Christ if you're doing these things. And then everything you do, you project. You say it's all about views and money and all this stuff to me. Dude, I have a job. I have a career that I've had for years. What are you talking about? You're unemployed and you're up there tossing rocks. Like, shut up, dude. You do not. And you're reporting, you ordered your people to report all of my shows. I never did that. But it might be a good idea to go report his because all he does is slander me all day long, every day, all night. Your channel has become the Josh Turner hate channel. And we get a list of people that are involved in that too. The Mrs. Home Invader, crazy, just ridiculous individual. How you can sit up there and say the things that you say with a straight face, and you look right into the camera and do it too. It's amazing to me. Should have been a politician, but that would take, you doing doing some energy. There is no quick way. There is no shortcut. There is no easy way to the top. All you people out there cheating, doing that, you'll never prosper. It's a short-term thing. Your subs don't match your views, dude. I mean, it's obvious. You're all doing this. It's fraudulent what you're doing. You're all fraudulent that are involved in this. You're all doing wrong, and you know you are. That's why you're all on the same team together. You ride together. Like goes to like. But I'm to the point now. I don't need this crap anymore, dude. It used to be joy to come here. I dread coming up here. I dread it.
I think we might have to consider, at the very least, like taking a break, maybe just taking a break from the live streams. And we have about 4, maybe 5 episodes that were pre-recorded and saved on hard drives. I can edit those and just pump those out onto YouTube and Spotify, like normal. That way the pre-recorded episodes can keep coming, and while we're taking a break from the live stream, and then after those episodes are released, I don't know, we'll go from there. But I mean, it'll give us time to like reevaluate things and come to a conclusion as to whether or not we want to keep going down this road or want to go in another direction or what. I don't know, but I think it'll give us time to think. I'm just gonna put it out there. So I mean, if that's what we do, then we might not have these live streams for a little bit, but we will have the pre-recorded episodes because we're already we already have them on a hard drive. They're already there. It's just raw audio that I have to compile into a finished product. So
yeah, I think that's probably what we're just gonna have to do. I mean, they stalk us in our chat. They have a thing going right now where they're taking a bet to see what I do today. I mean, it's disgusting. You're disgusting people. And you're stupid admin. You never cared for me. I never knew you existed. Never cared. I sent you a care package and because Bettina asked me to. And yeah, you don't care. I've sent things to people, and then they turn around and spit on me. I've done that multiple times. I've had people just sit there and trash me. I don't care anymore. I mean, if you really want to get rid of me, thing is, when I leave here, the Astros are playing. I need to put my hat on for the Astros. Like both. When I leave here, I will have a life at peace. My life will go back to peacefulness. It will be normal again. You will still just be a spider spinning a web, attacking everyone around you until such time as you're met with your just desserts, which could be around the corner for you. I don't even think you know. You probably don't. But your past will always be your past. It'll catch up to you. So that's my thing. I'll be fine. In fact, I'll be healthier. I'll be more, and these people, they can have it.
I mean, we've said since the beginning when we started that this was just a hobby for us. I mean, all of us, including Sal. We it was really one night when Sal and Wolf were talking. They had this first time they met. They had this incredible conversation that we had in the hotel that ended up going for like the whole night. And after that, like shortly after that, ended up going to a show, and I think it was Sal who like really convinced you a little bit to do that.
Yeah.
So it was always like something fun that we wanted to
That
do.
first conversation was like, I timed it. It was like 8 hours straight that y'all spent talking.
It was it was
like,
crazy.
all of
Going
us-
over my material.
Mhm.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like all of us met in that hotel lobby, and it started out, of course, like we were all talking, but then one by one we started dropping like flies because it was getting late, and I think Scorpion went in first, and then Nelly went in, and then I think Tony turned in, and then I hung in there for as long as I could, but then I was like the last one, and then but y'all were just like still going, like not even tired at all, just throwing ideas and catching them and throwing them back, and it was crazy.
Yeah, but since our first episode, we've always said this has been something we wanted to do for fun. We never cared about how popular or what happened to it. It was just more about spreading the knowledge that Wolf and Armando had while also having a fun time. And if something becomes of it, something becomes of it. But
The problem with this community, though, is, and this is a big problem, and I know a lot of people aren't going to want to stick around to hear what I have to say because they just want to hear stories, and I get it, but it's hard for me to do what I got to do when I'm under this much stress and it's affecting my family. The problem with this community, and I'll say it, it's one of the reasons why Armando wanted to pull back before he did. I mean, like before he left the show, he wanted to pull back, and it was we were getting attacked by this other group because we were espousing views that they didn't like. And in that group, they would attack women. If you're a Christian, you got attacked. If you had any view other than an evolutionary atheistic view, and you didn't believe that Dogman was just some animal running around, they attacked you. And I finally said something. I stood up and I said something, and then I endured months of attacks from 4 to 5 individuals that were mainly, and all these people that went and stood with them like idiots. And it ran my wife's health down. And even when she was in the hospital and I appealed to them, I said, please stop. My wife's in the hospital, please. There was no mercy. None. And the whole time that was going on, people were telling me that I started the trouble. I did not start that. The guy that started that is actually a communist. He's a communist. Like, he believes in communism. So that tells you where his brain is at. He's also an atheist. And he started that whole mess. And anytime there's been some other strife, he's one of the people that was behind it. He was right there whispering in Marvin's ear and got me and Marvin going at it. Vic refused to promote me unless I went on his show, folks. Is that fair to you? I mean, I did for him. He didn't do for me. So everybody thinks I'm the bad guy. Then he opens up on me on the day my mother died, probably because Spider's little whatever he was doing. He was probably sending him messages from multiple accounts saying I said something I didn't say. And instead of doing his research, he just jumped on me. And I don't totally blame him. And now looking back on it, you know, what I blame him for is not doing his research, not checking to see if I really said that. He didn't do that. Or he knew and he did it anyway. It doesn't matter. I don't care. So that has led us down this road of like division for a long time. And now we finally reveal this person. I mean, you see, I mean, like it's, you know, it's happening. You got 12 channels that have been attacked by him. Going back years, these accounts. And we're still getting people telling us like all of us are the bad guys and he's a good guy. Because what? You want to believe that? That's what you want to believe? What I've seen happen in this community is good people get drummed out and get driven out. And the scum, the fakers, the hoaxsters, the hucksters, the frauds, they're allowed to stick around. And everybody gives them money and helps them and does things for them. And I am sick and tired of it. I've never seen such a blind community and always eager to support the wrong side. I see other conflicts going on between people, and I'm like, dude, every time. The hoaxer is always the one that gets. I see it happen all the time. There's a lot of conflicts going on. I don't get involved. I just see it. I can't fix all the problems, and I can't be constantly embroiled in conflicts. But this guy brought war to our shores, not the other way around. And I'm sick and tired of people actually believing this crap. Stop believing this guy. We did not break into your house, dude. Okay? Or the potato head lady that I don't even remember her name that is saying that ugly smushed face girl lady.
The American Bulldog humanoid lady.
She says she's a psychology major or something, whatever. You're a liar. You're a liar. She's a liar. You're all a bunch of liars. And these people jumping in and helping out, whatever, you're going to get egg on your face too. Look, I've done what I've had to do to try to protect my people and to protect you from the wolves. And I've done what I'm supposed to do. You know, you're supposed to stick up for your people. Jason, thank you for that donation. That's what I thought was right. Did I lose people along the way? Yeah, of course I did, because they didn't like what I was doing. Oh, just tell stories, just ignore it. Then cancer gets worse when you just ignore it. That's what happens. And then we're wasting time talking about it again because my wife is not doing good. And then I had somebody tell me that I should have just not gotten involved. What planet do you live on? What are you missing here? What am I'm not. How could I have not gotten involved? I was the target. Dummy. Idiot. Moron. Stupid. I mean, there's ignorance and there's just willful ignorance.
I'm telling you, dude, just smooth brain.
I mean, you can't just block and then the guy, there's a magic button, you block and delete. He tells Joe Doyle that from Hellbent Holler. No matter what me and Barton and Joe try to tell him, or what Curtis or these two try to tell, no, or Phil, no. It's just words. It's just words.
Yeah, so we're not built with your limitations to where, you know, caring for other people is a detriment for you, where the only people you care about have to be physically injured or harmed. It's a ridiculous notion.
Attacking our channel with multiple accounts on Facebook and YouTube. Spamming YouTube to try to make it look like that they need to look at all my videos because we're bad. Spamming me on Facebook, going after my sister. Attacking people that you know are close to me or you see them interact with me, so then you immediately attack them, making life uncomfortable for my listeners. Thank you, Liberty, for that donation. Thank you, Tim. You've made it my life hell. You lied to me on the phone. Folks, this person said that he was a police officer. You were not a police officer. And in fact, your story was so compelling the way you told it. I had to go check out Rex. You said you went to Rex and that you couldn't handle it because you had to go and do. No, dude, you were always just a security guard. And then telling people that I hate security guards. Dude, I own a what on this God's green, beautiful earth does it take to make people get it? To make you get it? I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I love my fans. I love my people. But I just, and then it's just. Listen.
Thank you. That's all right. Let them keep believing all this crap because once what comes down the pipe for him comes down the pipe, I want to make sure everyone knows that's the kind of man that they endorsed
Supported.
and believed. I'm gonna go out of my way. I'm gonna be this spiteful. I'm gonna take screenshots of all of your stupid little comments saying, "Yo, yeah, go get Josh Turner. You're so smart with your shitty little 240p camera show." And you're gonna see once what comes out, what you were associated with, and you're not gonna squirm out of it. I'm gonna compile all of your usernames, and I'm gonna make sure everyone knows that that's what you're associated with. You're gonna have egg on your face. So at this point, I don't even want y'all to see the light or to whatever. I don't want you to use your brain. Continue not using your brain. You're not going to use it anyway. All right? So just do what you do. I want to see I want y'all to be associated with what happens. I promise you. That's what I want.
Yep. You've made us suffer. The one guy, he says he was holding us accountable. And Joe's like, you're holding us accountable? And he asked the question, why are you holding him accountable? Because you just are over there in his chat yucking it up with him. You're not holding them accountable. You want to hold me accountable and tell me, I thought you were better than this. Did you think he was better than this? He's the good guy? That's your hero? Unbelievable. I'm not defeated in this battle, but my spirit is down. Fellow Christians coming at me, telling me that I'm not a Christian, calling me a pagan.
We don't need to prove our faith to any of y'all. It's plain and simple. It's none of y'all's business. Even though, we've never needed your respect to be the faith that we say we are. We never need your permission to believe in Christ.
If my mother was alive to see this, it'd break her heart. Like to kill her when she saw me going through what I went through back in 2019. In the beginning of this channel, I said this I said it at the conference. We were bullied. We were definitely bullied by bigger channels. We wanted to quit. I tried to stay strong. Well, my wife was my wife was not doing good, and she still kept the fight. She was like, stay in there, hang in there. I wanted to quit at that time. We've gone over it many times. After the first conference, I said, I want to quit. I want to write. I came back for you guys. But no. It's never enough. It's never enough. I'm supposed to endure people backstabbing me, lying. Quick to hold me accountable. But anybody else, that's okay. I know life isn't fair. I never thought it was. But I don't need this crap. My life was great before this. Sometimes I regret ever letting Armando talk me into this. Let's tell some stories. And I know you're sitting there laughing because you're psychotic. And I actually feel sorry for you. You're warped.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be one of the sickest individuals I've ever met in my life. And I worked downtown. Downtown was like Mos Eisley. Hive of scum and villainy. And all those people that I was around, bad people, sociopaths. Thank you, Jason, for that. Thank you for that donation. And I've never met anyone that was as twisted as you. I mean, from what I know, and it keeps getting worse. You claim your family lied on you? No, they didn't. They told the truth. You're a despicable, disgusting man.
And soon enough, everyone's going to see it.
They're going to see it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be undeniable.
Undeniable.
Goes beyond internet trolling or whatever. That's why I'm telling you people, you're stupid. And when it comes out, don't come to us. Don't be like, "Oh, we didn't know." Yeah, you did. We told you. But you were too stupid, and you're not good enough to call yourself to be listening with our listeners. All right? Well, our people are smart, intelligent people, good moral people. They're not idiots like you. So y'all just stay over there, watch what happens.
And if you're on our side, you can't say anything because they'll block you.
Yeah.
You're not given a voice. We give them a voice in these groups. That's what I told Barton, was like, maybe it's a mistake to let them have that voice. From now on, if you open your mouth and say something against us, we're just going to get rid of you and block you, and you're done. Because I've endured enough. I've tried to explain to you people enough. And you absolutely refuse. You know who you are. Anyways, there was a story we were going to talk about on There's a place here in Austin. It's called the Tavern. And God, I had everything together ready for this show. And I'm sorry, folks. There's a place here in Austin. It's like a German. What is it called? The Tavern.
Yeah.
But it's called the Tavern. And it's a German style place. And years ago, let me try to get in the mood here. Years ago, there's a lot of. I was on the phone today with David Wedley for like an hour and a half, and we were talking about these cases, and we tried to track down kind of like when we were talking the best story, you know, to what happened. Now there's, you know, like a lot of different versions of it, and then it gets more convoluted because you have psychics that claim that they spoke to the dead people, and they make it, you know, and then it starts to kind of like muddy the waters, and so you kind of have to sit there and but what ends up happening, there was a murder that took place. And me and my wife took the tour, and I believe it supposedly happened in the 1890s. The place is really old, and it goes back to like 1880 or something, 1870 something. Well, when we took the ghost tour when my wife first came, there was a lot of different places that were haunted, and we went to all these different like different places or whatever. And one of them we went to was the Driscoll, and then we went to the Tavern. And the Tavern,
Thank you, everybody, for those donations. We appreciate it a lot, guys.
I'm upset and I'm angry. I'm very,
Yeah,
very
it's
angry.
understandable.
So I'm trying to do my best to try to be appropriate here.
I'm pretty sure that all of our people here understand.
Think about new people.
Yeah,
They come in and this is what they see.
yeah.
They probably think this is what goes on. That's just, you know, this is just normal for us to just sit up here and be upset with somebody. We had peace for a while, but the whole time this person was plotting to destroy that peace. And there's a couple others too. They want to destroy this community. They have said as such. And it's the truth. And they've been trying to mess with us and bully us. And some of these channels are bigger. At times I feel like I can't breathe. Like I'm just have so much anxiety because they're out of reach. They think they are. And they think that they're, you know, you're going to get your little season, your little time, then it's going to come to an end. The Tavern is an old German place. It's like a bar and grill, restaurant, whatever. As long as I've been in Austin, I remember it. It's always been there. Right next to House Park, which is a football field. And it is a very old place and haunted. And when you go, there are several ghost tours here in Austin. There used to be. I don't know about now. I haven't. But one of them, me and my wife did, and they tell a story of a woman who was a prostitute who actually was murdered. The guy liked her, but he didn't like her daughter. And he wanted her to leave her daughter. That's one of the stories. And me and David Whaley, like I said, good friend of mine, great books. His latest book is the one about Texas, the cryptids. He's got another one that's about to drop, too, from another state. It's pretty cool. And we're going to be doing some work together, some projects, hopefully. Like I said, we may not be doing the lives anymore. We're going to reevaluate it in a week or two and make a decision on it. And then, but it will be pre-records. So we may probably just go to pre-records so we can it's maybe just what we have to do. And I enjoy the interactions with you guys, but I just, you know, Ike had to destroy that. Just couldn't stand to have it. And so it's too stressful. But anyways, this place, it's there's stories about this place. When we were there, they showed us a pair of this little girl's shoes, and it was so sad because the story is that he had killed this woman's daughter because she wouldn't leave her daughter and go run off with him. And then when she confronted him, he killed her. And so it was a very, very evil person that did what he did. The stories go back so far, back to the 1800s, that we don't really know, like, where they came from, which one is true. They all kind of have the same theme. It's kind of like, there's this woman who had a child, and this guy did this, he killed the child, and then he killed her. And then it just goes on and on and on. It's like, but from what we best could ascertain, I and David Wedley today, what we think happened was that story, the last one, and that's the one that's most commonly held belief. That the daughter of this woman he hid her in the wall, and she was found later on. Well, the mother who was killed was found murdered by one of the barkeeps. He came in the morning and she was dead, because apparently she stayed there, like she lived there at the tavern upstairs. And so it's a very tragic and sad story. Now, years ago when I did security, there was a police officer, but they had a fueling station that's now a regular gas station right across the street. It belonged to the county. One night we were running out of gas, and the company that I was working for, I was working part-time for the security company, and I remember the officer he was a really nice guy. His name was Greg, and he let us get gas there. He's like, I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, it's because the card we had wasn't working. We were at 7-Eleven, and we had made friends with him because we were working in his area at this really bad apartment complex. And so he saw me, and he pulled in. He goes, I thought that was you guys, because we were working at that sector at that time. I think it was called Adam. In the sector where this is at, where the police at that time, where it was like the boundaries or whatever, that was, I think it was Edward, but I'm not real sure. There's different sectors. But they changed them around. They changed the borders around as Austin got bigger. And what this guy, how he knew me and my partner Joe, we used to work in his sector in a really bad complex, and we saw some really bad things there. And he saw us, and we were there coming out of the gas station, and fortunately, because we couldn't get gas, I was trying to get a hold of somebody from the company to tell them, hey, we're stuck here, and we're on E, and we can't go finish our route. And it was a two-man post because we were working for the housing authority. Well, this guy, Greg, pulls up, says, hey, what's up? We started BSing with him. He said, I thought I recognized you guys, man. He goes, y'all are in this sector now? And I said, yeah. We're here for a couple days, and then we're going back to the east side, which is at that time I think was called Charlie. It might still be that. And he was like, "Oh, cool." And so we started talking, and he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And I was like, "Well, we're sitting here. We're out of gas. We're about to be out of gas." And they gave us this card that it was maxed out. Of course, there were other guards that were doing stupid things like going in there and buying honey buns and hot dogs and crap and putting it on the card. And remember that we had that problem too.
Yeah.
With some of our guards, or like you give them a gas card and then you see the charges and you're like, how many big gulps do you drink in a night, dude? Come on, seriously. And how many monsters and energy drinks are you slamming? And so,
How weight do you need to be?
well, the sad thing was this person was one of them that was, and one of them was a little skinny dude. So, but what ends up happening is he tells us, hey, come across the street over here and I'll let you get gas. I'm like, at the police fill up, and he's like, it's the county, whatever. He goes, go ahead, dude. That's cool. And he was cool. He was like a sergeant. And so he let us go in over there and get gas. Well, years later, I think probably 10 years or something went by. And in fact, let's see, I know it was about 10 years later, and I was working down South Austin, and I ran into him. And he was working down in South Austin. And he came up to me, and he was doing off-duty security work. And I was working at the site next door for my friend Snake. We call him Snake Man because he holds He's in the Guinness Book of World Records still, right?
I haven't checked it, but last time I saw it, he was in there.
Yeah, he's the Guinness Book of World Records for sitting in a coffin with so many rattlesnakes. I don't know the whole number, whatever, but he's been a superintendent at a lot of different sites. We've done security for him for years, and he was also one of our baseball coaches when I was a kid. So I went to school with his sons. This police officer, sees me pulling in. He pulls up, and we start talking. I'm like, "Oh, what's up, dude?" And he's like, "I'm moonlighting and working over here." And so we were friends, and I started telling him about some of the weird things that had happened at that site. In fact, I had a picture at one time of a green orb, and I had these two little goblin face looking things in my window of my truck. And I don't know if I'm pretty sure I've told this story on the show. But anyway, that picture was on a SBC Global email address that I can no longer access. That's long gone. And it was those little crappy phones, you didn't have the good phones, even though mine was probably a better phone for the time. It's still not like it is today. And so, long story short, we started talking, and he says, "Dude, I saw a ghost one time." He's like, "You remember that gas station where you guys filled up?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "The place right across the street there, the Tavern." And I said, "Yeah." And this is what he told me. And I thought about it, and I was like, it's not really a very long story or an encounter, so it's not really something that you're going to like. But I just got one recently. And so when I went into the computer and I looked, I saw two. And then there was another one from my friend Jerome. And Jerome, if you're out there listening, thank you for your story. So we put them all together, and I said, you know what? This would be a good subject to talk about on the show. And so I went and I dug them all out and I put them all together, and here we are. And then I talked to David Weatherly today, because we hadn't seen each other in a while. He had just gotten back from the Van Meter Festival in Iowa, and he was in like Iowa and Wisconsin for like 2 weeks running around with Chad Lewis and doing all kinds of stuff. And he's also practically my neighbor. He only lives like 15, 20 minutes away from me. We're good friends. We talk all the time, but we hadn't been talking lately. And I brought him up to speed on everything, and so he's also going to be possibly he's going to be doing a project with me, but he's also going to be consulting on another one of my projects, which is maybe, and I'm not real sure yet, but a book about MK Ultra. I'm not sure yet. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this. But I was going into the UAP thing and then doing the ghost thing kind of simultaneously, like I did the Bigfoot and the Dogman. I did it before. I figured, why not? I could do it again. I could drop 2 more books. But then the UAP thing started turning into MK Ultra, and then it just got more and more. And I thought, okay, so we're kind of switching gears here. And then talking to Garitano, he's somebody that knows a lot about that, and Nick Redfern, who are both consulting on it. And I thought it would probably be prudent to bring David Weatherly in on it, because this guy knows a lot about a lot of stuff. And he's going to be coming on the show coming up, pretty regularly. Like I said, we may not do the live streams anymore, but if we don't and we just go to the regular format and keep that, then, unfortunately, though, you'll only be getting 2 days of PRT, and that's an hour per day, if we do go to that. And so we have to figure out where we're at, as a team, as a community, and as a group, and to see if I'm even going to stay or maybe whatever. But rest assured, I will be writing, even if I do leave the community as far as like podcasting and YouTubing. I will be writing, so there'll be that. That's not going anywhere. But so I'm sitting here and I'm talking to this guy at my job site, and he tells me I saw a ghost. Well, he had seen 2 in his life, but one that we're talking about tonight. He said he was filling up gas one time, and I guess he saw the same spirit twice, possibly. He looks up and he sees this shadow that looked like a woman and he couldn't tell me how he knew this, but he thought it looked like a woman in a tattered dress. And I was like, how do you know that that's what that was? And I call him Greg, because that's not his first name. But anyway, I asked Greg, I said, how do you know that that's what that was? And he was like, I don't. It just kind of looked like it. He goes, and I was filling up, and I look up, and I see it, and I was like, that's weird. So I just kept getting gas. He's like, a couple days later, I go back to get gas, and sure enough, he's like, I pull up, and I just decided to stare up, to the top floor. It's like a 2-story building. And you could tell just from the road it's old, right? I mean, you can tell.
The tavern.
The tavern, yeah.
Oh yeah. The architecture doesn't match anything around it because everything around it's like this modernist, like just real plainer, bland. I mean, it's ugly. But the tavern is like it's this cool like German
Rustic.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah, like rustic. It's you can tell that that's been there for a long time. The AC, I mean the sign even says like the tavern, and then right underneath it says air conditioned.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like that's the draw. Like
Yeah.
it's air conditioned
So
because
that's how long it's been there. It's pretty cool. But yeah, they really kept the character of that place alive. So it's cool.
So what ended up happening, he looks up and he sees a woman. And I asked him, I was like, what did it? He said it was like a cornflower blue dress. And she was just standing there staring at him. Blondish red hair. And I was like, whoa. And then he's like, I just was staring at it. And he goes, and it was weird. It was like she was kind of moving, like vibrating. And he's like, I stood there and stared at her the whole time I was pumping gas. And he's like, I stared up right as I started to pump the gas, and I just stared at it. It was this old, not old, but like, they used to have the Crown Vics. And he was, and that's what we had too. And so it was telling. I mean, it was really telling. And so, it was like the way he described it, and then years later going in there, and I never saw anything. I was in there, been in there a couple times, never saw anything, but he asked me if I thought it was a ghost. I said, yeah. 4 a.m, nobody's in there. There was nobody there. It was closed. I don't think that it was one of the workers, but it is possible. I believed it from that point that it was a ghost. But here's what happened. There was a person that got in touch with me recently, and they said that they had an encounter with a ghost in at the tavern. Very similar situation. Same place, but now it's a convenience store where like a little gas station, whatever, real small place. And this was a person that just pulled up. Same thing. It was like, 5 a.m. Place should have been empty, closed, nobody in there. And they're pumping gas, and there were 2 of them, 2 guys. And they said, have you ever heard of the Tavern? I said, yes. And one guy's name's Keith. And I said, what about it? I was waiting for the punch there because I know that's what he's going to say. It's haunted. And I was like, what, you saw something there in the tavern? He goes, not in the tavern, but across the street. And I said, okay, the gas station. He said, yeah. I said, okay, what'd you see? He said he saw a woman, same kind of description. The dress, though, he said the color of the dress was white, wasn't blue. But he saw a little girl standing next to her. There was a woman and her child up there.
Oh, that's so sad.
And I said, it was 5 a.m. He said, yeah, there was nobody in there. You could tell it was dark and there was nobody in there, but you could see them, and they were almost like illuminated. Now, it was October when he saw them, and it was during not South by South, but ACL, like it is right now. ACL is going on. And he said, he was telling me this. He was coming down for ACL this year. And he said, I saw a ghost. He's an email, And he said, I saw it, years ago when I was there for ACL. And I think it was like 2018 or something like that. I think that's what it was. And he said, would you like to hear the story? Yeah. So he sends me the message. And he said, do you know anything about he goes, do you know what the true story of it? He said he tried to look it up and found all kinds of different information. And I said, we really don't know what the true story is. We just know what the different stories are. And then, like I said, it got convoluted with these psychics saying that this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. So Anyways, him and his friend, they look up, they see this thing. And I say thing because I don't know what it was, ghost, whatever, image. And then it just kind of like they moved kind of like they were moving backwards away from the mirror or the window, and then poof, they were gone. At this point, his friend was staring up at it too. So you have those stories. And then you have my friend Jerome's story. Jerome, there used to be a friend of ours named Coffee. That was his actual real name, Coffee. And Coffee had a loft above a nightclub, or I guess a bar it would be, off of 6th Street. He had a neat little place, and it was like the after-hours spot. Sometimes we'd go there, typically on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It was just like a Friday thing. But we would go up there, and we'd have a little get-together and hang out up there. And it was a party scene, you know. And I couldn't go up there and hang out too much because I had to live my life. And I used to work out all the time, and I couldn't just be hanging out drinking. But Friday and Saturday, you know, and I would never do too much drinking on Friday night. Back when I did drink, I don't drink anymore, because I had to work on Saturday, the next night, and I didn't want to be walking around feeling sick or hungover or tired or dehydrated. But Saturday night, I would do some hanging out, and then Sunday, I'd go out on Sunday and go to one of the bars that we like to hang out at. Getting to know a lot of the people from the industry, you pick up a lot of stories. So anyway, he was leaving Coffee's, and it was weird because Coffee's loft was haunted. And multiple people had witnessed really weird things happen in his loft apartment. Like, there was an electric can opener that just started going by itself, and everybody's talking and having a good time. And then when the music changed over and everybody got a moment of silence, they heard it. And Coffee, and my brother was there when this happened. I think my brother's in the chat. He went over there to it, and they were staring at it, and the can opener was just going by itself. Like, it was just going, like somebody was holding it down, then it just stopped. Yeah. And that kind of stuff would happen. So it was one of those nights where they were playing around, talking about ghosts and doing all kinds of stuff, you know, whatever, and the subject came up, and something had touched Jerome's girlfriend's hair. And so she said, you know, let's go. I felt weird, you know, so they took off. So that was the prelude. They're driving home, and they're going down Lamar. Kick that bottle cap. But they're going down Lamar where this place is. And it's right as you're kind of leaving the downtown area and heading up toward the north. And like I said, I think House Park is like right next door to it. Or it's, what is it, like kind of across the street on the same side of the road?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. So then they're getting up to that point, and Jerome said, and of course, Jerome was actually born and raised in Germany. And so he liked that place, and he would go there sometimes. And he was like pointing it out to his girlfriend. He was telling her, hey, you know, that's the tavern. He said, and right when he says it, he looks up, and there is what he said was a woman. Well, first he saw like a little ghost, a little girl, may have been a ghost, we don't know. And then a woman come up behind her. And I said, what time was this? He said 4:30, 5 o'clock. You know, it was late. You know, there was nobody there, nobody in there. Very odd. He's like, I'll never forget it. And his descriptions pretty much matched the law enforcement guys. And then it also matched, you know, this other person that gave me the story from 2018. So it makes me think that there probably is something there. Another story I got from there, which I had for a long time, I didn't even realize it. It came out of one of my journals that I had written down a long time ago. And this one was literally 2007, which would have been probably about the year after I was working in that down south when I talked to that officer about his encounter. And this guy told me this story downtown. And he said that he was walking home because he lived over in that area, and he was walking from West 6th Street, from a bar on West 6th Street. 6th Street, the whole downtown area, you'll have no idea what it's like if you haven't been there. There's like 300-400 bars. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It's like the highest concentration of dance clubs and bars, I think, of anywhere in the country, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bigger than Seattle's little district there. Not little, but their district. And then the entertainment district in New Orleans doesn't even come close to ours.
Yeah.
It's huge. And so there's just bar after bar after bar after bar, dance club after dance club after dance club. So anyway, he was heading back from one of these bars, and he said that he was walking, and he was like, this wasn't, like nowadays, but it was 2007. We had cell phones and things like that. And he said he was looking at his phone, and his phone was about to die. So he had just enough juice to call to get a cab because he was walking home, and he thought, man, it's a lot further to walk than I thought it was going to be, because he lived over there by not by Peace Park, past Peace Park, up the hill, up by campus. And so he told me this story, and he said, dude, he's like, I'll never forget it. I look up and I see this woman like looking down at me, and it looked like her hand was on the glass. Like I thought she was waving at me, but it was just her hand on the glass. And he goes, and here's what's weird. When she kind of pulled away, it's like she faded, but the hand was still there. Like you could still see the hand, but there was nobody behind it. And that guy's name was Danny. But that's a crazy story, and I was just like, whoa, that's really freaky. That's really weird. So yeah, that place has definitely got a history, and it's haunted, and we do have stories from there. When we were there doing the ghost tour, there was a bartender who claimed that she had seen the ghost on a couple of different occasions, and it was of a female. There was another guy that worked there that said that he saw the little girl. He was like coming out of the restrooms, checking everything at the end of the night, and boom, right in front of him was this little girl. And he goes, she ran around the other side of the bar, and he looked, and she was gone. So those are spirits that inhabit that place. What they are and who they are is up for debate, speculation. We can't really say, 100% that we know the story, because the story, like I said, is kind of convoluted. But I do believe there is something to it. So, I don't know. There's that. Now, I remember I told you guys that I was going to tell you the story of the Black Swan Inn. Hold on one second. Let me make sure I get this right here. Just down. One other thing. Hold on. Let me. Okay, so the Black Swan Inn, that's another story that I was supposed to tell you guys. Now, I was given this story by a woman named Liz. That's what she goes by. And what Liz told me was that when she was a kid, they lived not too far from the Black Swan Inn. Now, the Black Swan Inn has like it's kind of like, how do you explain it, Anthony? It's like kind of like it's out in the country, but it's not. It's like in town.
It's kind of like
on the outskirts.
No, like it's in town. I mean, it's not like in an urban area of San Antonio. It's in a residential area, but there's like, I think, how many acres was it? Like 35 acres or something. And
the middle of the city too.
Yeah, in the middle of the city. So the acres that it's on is like, it's just like, it looks like you're out in the country, and it's surrounded by just a bunch of trees. So if you're on the land and you look out, you probably can't tell like that you're in the middle of the city. But it's kind of like a little piece of the country just kind of plopped down in the middle of the city. It's unique.
So one of the things that the Black Swan Inn is notoriously haunted. But when I had talked about it on the show, Liz said, I have a story to tell you about the Black Swan Inn. And I said, what did you go inside? Did you have? And she's like, no, we rode our bikes by it. So it was right around dusk, and they were getting finished, and they were on a little, like, I guess, like a pattern that they had, that they would go out and they would ride, and her and her sister, her dad and her mother, and so they rode through there on the road down in the under the bridge or whatever, where it's at. and they were riding their bikes. And she said that we had done this numerous times and nothing had ever happened. It was just like a normal thing. Well, this particular night when they were riding their bikes, or evening, she's like, it was summertime and it was, it was getting late. And she said that we were riding our bikes and our parents would let us ride out in front of us so they could watch us. And when they were going in front of this place, the Black Swan Inn, they heard what they thought was a shrieking, screaming noise. It was like, she's like, if you took an owl and mixed it with a woman's scream and mixed it with like a panther or a jaguar. I couldn't really wrap my mind around that. I'm like, what would that sound like? I can't even. She's like, it was like nothing she'd ever heard before. Granted, she was only like 11 years old or something, but it was a scary thing to her. Her and her sisters had never encountered anything like this or heard anything like this. And their dad was kind of bringing up the rear. The mom was in front. And they were kind of like right by the mom, and the dad was behind them. And when one of them turned around, her sister turned around, he told her, look straight ahead. Don't look. Do not look back. And they all just began, riding their bikes as fast as they could. And the parents were kind of pushing them, hey, go, just go. When they looked, when the dad had looked back and saw what it was, until the day he died, he never told them what it was that he saw. And they even, when he was dying, he was in hospice at one point. And one of her sisters actually asked him what it was that he had seen, because they were all joking, talking, laughing. And he was like, I just don't want to talk about it. I'm not gonna discuss it. Years go by, and she remembers one Christmas when she was a kid, where her aunt and uncles, her tias, that's aunt in Spanish, they were all sitting around talking. And she remembers her dad was talking about the Black Swan Inn, and she heard him talking about it to her aunt. So she thought, one of these days I'm going to ask my aunt about this. Well, her aunt got really sick one year and had pneumonia, and she was in the hospital. She went to go see her. She was spending a lot of time with her, and they were afraid that her body may not recover. And so they started talking, and she brought it up to the aunt. And she said, my dad and me and my sisters and my mom, we were riding our bikes, and, and told her the story. And she's like, oh, I know. She's like, that was her brother, And she said, yeah, my brother told me. That was her dad was this woman's brother. And he told me what he saw. And she's like, would you like to hear the story? And she says, yes. What he saw was something that looked like it was a black, just amorphous shape that floated out from the back side of the property that looked like a shadowy creature type thing, but like almost like what he described as like a demon, but like in the shape of like the Grim Reaper without the scythe.
Mm-hmm.
And as it got, like down the hill, it was just kind of moving, slowly. And all of a sudden it was right in his face, and it was right in front of him, or not right in front, but right next to him in his face. And when he looked into it, it was him. Like it had taken the form in the face of him.
Yeah.
What was previously like a demon-looking entity, it had horns, it had a weird-looking chin, and it looked almost wolf-like, according to this guy, mixed with like reptilian. Like he couldn't really put his finger on what it was. It was like a demon. And he said when it got close to him, he looked and he saw it was him. And when he was sick and dying, he remembers looking in the mirror and seeing himself and thinking one morning he saw himself and he was like, oh my gosh, that's what I saw, my face and that creature. Not wanting to alarm his daughters because he was dying, he didn't tell them what he saw, because that would have probably made them freak out and be hysterical. So he took it to his grave, other than telling his sister and one of his cousins and his wife that night. That was the only night he told them. That was the only night he'd ever told anybody what he saw, and that was about 20 years before he died. Something is at the Black Swan Inn. When we were there and we went inside, you could definitely feel that it was evil, and it wasn't just something. It was demonic.
Yeah.
And so definitely weird. So there's that story. Switching lanes here, and I guess I'm going to talk about Bigfoot. I got this story, which I thought was pretty intriguing, and it came from, well, before we get into that one, I'm just kind of moving too fast here. Let's get your thoughts on that before we move into the next story. We got plenty of time, so if anybody out there wants to say something about that story or ask questions, let's go and let's try to answer some questions. And then what do you guys think of that story and then the one that was told before it about the tavern?
I think the tavern story, I mean, of course it would be, it would creep anyone out to see that, but knowing the story or knowing what is likely the story behind it, it's more of a tragic story than a terrifying one. Now the Black Swan Inn story is the opposite. I remember walking into that place. Well, the first time I walked into it, I just, the second floor was cut off. You can only see the first floor, and I walked around and checked it out. I was by myself, but there were a bunch of people there, and they were walking around with their cell phones and doing their homemade ghost hunting stuff, and it was just aggravating to me because they're just sitting there messing with stuff, like that stuff is there, and I'm around all these people aggravating it, and who have no idea what they're doing. So I just got out before they could, I don't know, stir anything up. I didn't want to be around for whatever energies they were playing with, like as if spirits or toys or something for their entertainment. It was really offensive to me. And then later on, I went back in, and the same room. Like if you walk in and you go all the way to the right, there's a small hallway, and then at the end of that hallway, it opens up into like this dining room, and that dining room this time, but for whatever reason, it was like burning up in there. It was so hot, and it wasn't hot outside, and it wasn't hot in the rest of the house. It's just that room just burning up hot. Like I started sweating, and then what a coincidence! In that same room, they have this little closet. The inside of the closet is painted all black, and it's got no light bulb in it, and all there is in the closet is on one side of it is a rocking chair, and opposite of that rocking chair is like a table with the little mirror set up, and in front of that mirror is a candle, like a lit candle. So I don't know, like it's just, and then people were going in there and shutting themselves in that closet, doing whatever kind of seance stuff. But yeah, and then all the way to the left is another hallway with bedrooms, and I took 2 steps down that hallway, and I got this feeling like when you're a kid and you do something bad, and like you can feel your mom or dad's eyes on you. They're just like piercing at you, and you know that, like, okay, I'm whatever I did, I'm gonna get it when we get home. They're gonna tear me up. Like you can just feel their eyes stabbing you. That's the feeling I got. So I just shut that door and turned around. I didn't want to go down that bedroom. But it doesn't suffice it to say, it doesn't surprise me that he saw something that terrifying and insane there, because it's not just one thing at the Black Swan Inn. It's like a host for a lot of different stuff. I mean, you can feel it walking in there.
What is this guy saying here in Latin?
Where at?
It's called Cygnus Atratus.
It's Phil Stern.
Let me see if I can get it.
To make it sound more metal shade in Latin, Black Swan is called Cygnus atratus. Yeah, that's Phil.
Yeah, Sharon Lane. Yeah, a man was murdered or committed suicide. Actually, there were 2 suicides and 2 murders, I thought. That's what they told us. I'm reading the comments here, folks. Oh, boy. Hmm. She must give me a headache.
Oh yeah, somebody said that that's a Black Mirror for scrying. That's a scrying room. They opened a portal. Yeah, and some of the vendors there were selling those scrying mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I wasn't comfortable buying anything.
Yeah, there was one
From
woman there
there.
that was very unfriendly to me when I talked to her about the scrying mirror.
Mm-hmm.
She was just like, yeah. Kind of like one particular show host who just goes, when you talk about anything that doesn't agree with his narrow view of the physical Bigfoot. Just one more reason to leave. And what do you guys think about the Black Swan Inn story?
Creepy. I mean, obviously, especially when you look at something like that. It's- the idea of something like taking your face, it's terrifying, or mimicking your words, or your voice.
I think the reason like there's something. Well, one reason that one of these things would take on your appearance is to get inside your head, because I think like all of us who have an intact moral compass and who are in our right minds, that there's a part of us who there's a part of us that thinks, am I actually a worse person than I think I am? Like that part of you that's always kind of like scrutinizing yourself and kind of being hypercritical, and like it's like the little devil on your shoulder saying, oh, you're not as you're not as kind a person as you think you are. You're not as moral a person as you think you are. You're not, you're not as good. You're not good enough for this, or you're not good enough for that. And sometimes we think of like our past, and we think of how we've treated people, of decisions that we've made, of things that we've said, and we have to ask, like, was this correct? Or did I take it too far? Or did I mean, we can get inside our own heads and really fall into this trap of this self-despair and get down on ourselves and think, eventually, if it gets bad enough, think, you know what, there's this is it for me. There's no salvation for me. That no one can ever love me. No one can ever save me, and this and that. And I mean, I've seen people get to that point, and it's really sad. And you can talk to them till you're blue in the face, and they're just you can't pull them back. Only God can pull them back, and only then, and even then, they have to allow God to pull them back. So it's like the decision really rests with them. So if you from a malevolent entity's standpoint, if you can get inside someone's head and convince them like that all hope is lost for them, that they're never going to be worthy of anything good, then you got them. And to see, I think when this thing took on his face, it was symbolic. It was like here's this horrible, terrifying, black, demonic looking thing, and then when he sees it, he sees his face. So it's like, on a subconscious level, or maybe a conscious level, he probably had to think, was that me? Was that my own evil? Is my own blackness really that bad? Am I that terrible? Did I see a part of myself? And then naturally you might go back to your past and think of all the bad things you've done and just fall into despair. And then if it's like a self perpetuating or a vicious cycle or downward spiral, and until when your time comes, if all goes according to plan for this demon, whatever it is, then your soul will be lost.
I understand that. Tend to disagree. Just in this situation, I think
How
he
dare you?
was showing this demon was probably showing him his end, or maybe like putting him or forcing him to have to deal with his own mortality in a way, and showing him what his future might look like because he was, dying, and trying to get under his skin using that method. Now, do I think that that's not a valid reason why they would mimic you? I think that's entirely possible, but I think just in this situation in general, they were using his own mortality and using the fact that they showed a gaunt, like decrepit version of him as like saying like, this is all you'll become, to produce those same negative thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And I think it was something that he didn't realize until later. And it was like, the thing that I saw in that house that mortified me and creeped me out and really made, traumatized me. I'm looking in this mirror and the whole time it's me.
I don't think
Yeah.
he was a bad guy.
I don't think
because
so either, yeah.
His
No.
daughter, talking to one of his daughters, and then the other daughter actually coming forward and sending me a message and just putting in her 2 cents. She lives up in Montana now, but there were 3 daughters, and unfortunately, one of them is no longer around. But the other daughter said that she thought that her dad was a very nice man, and they all had a very good relationship with her, including their mother. Um, I don't know. I mean, Liz said seemed to have a very good, uh, you know, kinship with him. So
Yeah.
the other daughter messaged me. It was not a long message, but it was confirming. She said, "I read my sister's story, and this is my email address. Blah blah blah, and feel free to use what I have to say too." And it was just basically saying that their dad was a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not implying that he wasn't.
Yes, you were. You were saying he was evil.
Yeah, that's what we all heard, right?
That's what I heard.
No, I'm saying if you are a moral person, then you're going to be doubting the morality of your own decisions all the time. Because if you don't have a moral compass, then that debate never takes place within your own mind. You don't ask yourself, is this right or is this wrong that I did or said? I think it probably took advantage of the fact that he was a moral person, and that he did have these constant like internal battles within himself to stay on the right path and to criticize himself, to just kind of put that, I guess, amplify that doubt, to where the wrong side of him was winning that debate, and because I think it happens within everyone who tries to be a decent human being. Like there's like this argument constantly going inside people's heads, of like 2 sides of a human being. One of them wants to give in to like the reptilian brain, earthly, fleshly desires, and the other one is like, no, that we vibrate higher than that. We're more than just this flesh and blood. There's more out there for us than just this.
So, moving on to a Bigfoot story. This one comes from, of all places, Tennessee. Of course, there's so many there in Tennessee, and this person claims that they were in the LBL. They were in the south end of the LBL, and they were camping. And it's anybody's guess, what this was. They saw a blue, not a bluish, I would say, well, one person, I talked to 2 different people on this, and one person said that it was bluish green, and the other one said it was just green. And they were cousins, and I thought, I'm not going to argue back and forth. They were from Alabama, not from Alabama, Mississippi. and they were up there visiting some family for a family reunion, and they decided to take like an hour drive from where they were at to go up there and go camping. There were 4 people, but there were 2 cousins in particular that saw what they saw. They saw this thing like an orb go over their heads, about 20 feet above their heads, kind of bouncing around in the trees. Kind of bounced, swooped down. I didn't say swoop because they didn't say swoop. I shouldn't say swoop, but kind of came down like right above their heads and hovered. And then as it kind of vibrated, then it just shot off real fast and went like zigzagging in between the trees, like it had a life of its own. Not 20 minutes after this incident, the 2 cousins that were there, okay, or that were outside, they had a vehicle that the other 2, not a vehicle, what do you call it, a RV?
Yeah.
The other 2 people were in the RV, and they were the females. They were their wives. These were first cousins, these 2 guys. And like I said, they were there for a family reunion, and they decided to go and whatever. And it was late September, and they said it was cool. It wasn't real hot. And they said that 20 minutes later, they get the fright of their lives because this reddish brown creature comes barreling out of the woods from the direction that the orb was. And it literally, at one point, there was like a dead tree that looked like it was, not that old and decrepit, but it looked like it had been destroyed at some point. And it just crushed it, just moved it over, snapping it like just with one hand, just, So it had a physical presence about it, which I thought was interesting. This is one of the reasons why I'm telling you this story. I thought it was very interesting. And it came through, and it went right up to where they were at, about 30 feet from them. And they got in the RV, and they left. And they left everything behind. This thing did not run after them. It didn't pursue them. It didn't do anything. It just came from the direction of the orb. They said, this is what they said, that it was like 8.5 to 9 feet tall, and it probably weighed around 700 pounds.
Jeez.
That is a humongous creature. Okay, just absolutely humongous. So them getting out of there in a hurry was something that they had to do. I mean, it was like they stood there for a second observing it, and they didn't stare at it or stick around long enough to even really give me a really good description of the face. It was dark, and one of them had a flashlight and was too scared to even put it on this thing. So they didn't get a full view of the face. Now, I did get this out of them. Was it wolf-like or dog-like, or was it, baboonish looking? I asked them, did it have a muzzle? Did it look like a Sasquatch? And they said it looked like a Sasquatch. What was interesting, too, though, was that the Sasquatch on this thing, the head was like, they said that the way the hair was on the head was almost like a human's hair, but it was like poofed out, like like a Polynesian person.
Oh, okay.
Which I thought was interesting the way that they described it, because they didn't say a Polynesian person. That's what I gathered because I started to ask questions, and I was like, okay, so the hair was like poofed out everywhere, and I said and I gave them different scenarios, and they said that would probably be the most accurate, which would be like a Polynesian person. Sent them a picture. What about this one? About this one? And that's what we came up with. So I want to say Mark is the guy that sent me the story. Mark's story is very intriguing, and then he made the mistake of going to where he works and telling some people where he's a mechanic, and they just made fun of him. And made fun of him. Here's the funny thing about that. Not being made fun of, but he said a few years later, when after this happened, one of the people that he worked with saw a Sasquatch when they were driving home from work. And the next day, that person called in. The day after that, he talks to this individual and says, hey, where you been? Like, what happened? Why did you not come to work? And he says, dude, you're not going to believe this if I tell you. And he goes, or maybe you will. He's like, but I saw something really crazy, and it threw a log Now, I remember we talked about this with Jerry and Ella about these things throwing stuff out in front of the vehicles.
Yeah.
And he said it threw like what looked like a dead log out in front of my vehicle, and I swerved to keep from hitting it. And he said my vehicle literally came up on two wheels and then got back down. He goes, I got control of it. He goes, I spun around in a couple circles, and then I just remember looking over and seeing this creature coming up out of the ditch. And then he looks over and he sees another one standing there kind of holding onto a tree watching. And they were both humongous, and he couldn't tell them how big they were. He just knew they were about 7-8 feet tall. And he turned and just took off. Like his vehicle was turned, and he took off, and he got out of there. So he told him, he's like, I've seen these creatures. And so he apologized for the rest of the time he worked with this guy, which was like another several years. And he said, dude, the guy always apologized to me, man, I'm sorry. I never believed it. I never knew. You know, I just thought it was goofy. I thought it was funny. I thought y'all had just seen a bear. And he told him, he goes, no, dude, if I had seen a bear, I would tell you I saw a bear. That's not what we saw. Oh, man. Now we got the Cowboys getting destroyed. I told you they were going to lose.
Yeah.
I predicted it. Huh. Yeah, and the Astros are getting thumped, too, at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad day. At least the Rangers came through. So the Astros are getting destroyed tonight, and the Cowboys are getting destroyed tonight. Oh, boy. Sucks. I knew it was. My theory on the Cowboys thing is this, if anybody cares, but I said I think they need to get their butts whipped one more time. So if they make it to play these guys again in the playoffs, then they'll be motivated to win. One of two things is going to happen. They're going to go into a downward spiral, or they're going to pick themselves up and look forward to seeing these guys in the playoffs. But I think that they really needed to get drummed. You know, and I'm not talking about, you know, I knew they were going to get beat down. I mean, I'm not joking. I told you, Anthony, Tony, didn't I say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I said they're going to get their butts kicked tonight. They're going to get beat down, and we're going to see what they're made of. And so getting hammered tonight out there in California. No, they have a good defensive coach. You know, it's, you know, when you have the key injuries like to Tyron Diggs, and then they have an offensive line that's playing hurt, not a good recipe. And so I just thought, you know what's going to happen? They're going to get thumped, and we'll see if they come back and do better the rest of the season and keep focused, stay focused, and win some tough games that they need to win, and then get into the playoffs, and then maybe they'll beat the Niners in the playoffs. But for now, tonight, I was almost 90% positive that they were going to get hammered. Stephen A. Smith has hated the Cowboys for a long time, and in fact, it's in vogue to hate them because they're Texas. So, you know, Stephon Diggs. I'm talking about Trayvon Diggs. Stephon is his brother. Stephen A. Smith hates the Cowboys and has for a long time. What's going on? Yeah. So. Yeah, Devin Walker, congratulations on that, but I hate them. I hate that team. Yeah, I just, you know, when you look at sports, and the Astros, I had a feeling we're going to get beat today. The Twins are no punks. They took the Blue Jays out pretty good. So I think that my prediction is that the Astros will rebound and win Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't think
feeling it today.
Huh?
They're feeling it today.
Yeah, that happens though, and
Yeah,
sometimes you
yeah.
need to get your butt whipped so you'll be better and do what you do. You know, happens in boxing, happens in all sports. It happens in any sport you look at. It doesn't matter. You know, you're going to have to take a butt whooping before you can figure out how to fight. And so that's what's happening. And it's not the end of the world. The season's not over, and the Astros are not out of the playoffs. They'd have to lose 2 more times for that, and I don't think it's going to happen. I'm hoping that the Astros and Rangers will meet in the ALCS. Enough about sports. Here's what we're looking at here. Blanton, you're a Braves fan. I think that the Phillies took it to them, didn't they? A lot of Niner fans now. I'm not saying you, Davy Jones. You've probably been a Niner fan for a long time, but there's a lot of people all of a sudden that were Niner fans that I never heard any of these people talk about the 49ers, and all of a sudden now they're just like the biggest Niner fans that ever existed. Just like last year, there were all these Eagle fans that came out of nowhere, and I'm like, really? Because I've known you for 30 years and never heard you say a word about liking the Eagles. Oh yeah, I've always liked the Eagles ever since I was years old. Yeah, sure, right. My teams are my teams regardless. I've said it before: Astros, Rangers, Red Sox, baseball, football, Cowboys, Texans, and the Buccaneers. It's pretty simple. And the Stars, the Dallas Stars, are my hockey team. Basketball, Spurs, Rockets, and the Mavericks. I hate that they're all in the same division. But you can't have us get too united down here in Texas. You have to have some division. You got to keep us not talking too much. That's why I don't like the Aggie fans. I like the Aggies. I like the Longhorns both, which is weird. A lot of people don't understand that. But the Aggie fans are completely obnoxious. If they win, they just go ape crap, and they go after the Longhorns for anything and everything. In fact, their fight song is based on hating the Longhorns instead of just
being proud of their school.
Being proud of their school or whoever you like. It's kind of like Ike, his whole show is just about me. You should probably just, think about yourself and be like, hey, go against whoever you're playing. I don't really understand that. But that's fine if they want to hate, whatever. I rooted for them against Bama yesterday, but they lost. But at least Texas beat Bama, and Texas should have beat OU, but there were some bad calls and no calls in that game. Oh, my gosh. I just don't think that the powers that be want Texas teams anywhere near a championship. It's too galvanizing. If we're all united, that's not a good thing for them. And sports is a great uniter. It really is. Look at the Olympics. It brings entire nations together. But the contest of sports, think about it. So one of the things I was going to tell you guys, there was that was one Bigfoot story. Now, that Bigfoot story kind of spun off into another Bigfoot story because I believe that these things, once you're on their radar, you can see them again. And this individual, Mark, not only did his coworker see a Bigfoot years later, but a couple years after the first time he had the encounter with the Bigfoot, he had another one. And this one actually happened in Louisiana. He was in northeastern Louisiana, or no, not north. He was near Bossier City, and he was coming back from a trip for a wedding. And I think he said he was in Margaritaville, but the sighting happened northern, going from there to the east of Louisiana. And so when he was heading toward northeastern Louisiana, in the middle of nowhere, he saw one on the side of the road. What's interesting to me is the one that he saw on the side of the road looked very similar to the one that he saw in Tennessee in the LBL. In fact, he said, dude, I don't think it was the same one, but it was very similar, the way its appearance, everything looked. Now, I asked him this. I said, if you had to put money on it, would you say that it was almost like that one's twin? Or would it be like it's just brother with some features? He said, more in between. And I said, oh, okay, explain that. He's like, not quite a, and he didn't know the word, which is fraternal twin. He said, not like an identical twin, but the other one where you're almost look at the same, but you don't. And I said, okay. And so I told him. And then he said that, it's weird, though, that thing it would look the same. Now, if you go to a map and you look at the different Bigfoot sightings that take place in that Arkansas, Louisiana area, going from Louisiana to Mississippi, and you get some of the reports from those areas, you get all kinds. You get black, brown, reddish brown, whatever. So it could be that there's nothing to this. He just happened to have seen Bigfoot twice. But I don't think so. I don't think it's a coincidence because most of us never see Bigfoot. I still, to this day, I don't know if I saw a Bigfoot or not. I was with my wife, and she says she did. I don't know. I mean, I believe her. I believe she did. I don't think she's lying. But I didn't see it as good as she did. So I don't I don't sit there and say I saw Bigfoot, because that to me is not a Bigfoot encounter. One of the things that I can tell you is that I don't think it's a coincidence that this guy saw a reddish brown Bigfoot in Tennessee with his first cousin and then saw another one. What was interesting about the one in Louisiana was that when he drove by, he actually looked over, and for a brief second, he made eye contact. Passenger, his wife, was asleep. And he looked over, and when he saw it, it was like something in his mind told him. It was basically saying hi. Did not get an evil feeling from it.
Did it voice speak to him? So he actually heard.
Yeah,
it
he felt like it. Well, he said he felt it was saying hi. Now I don't know. It's hard when you just message somebody too, and then I messaged him about this one, and I said, "Can you please clarify saying hi?" And it was like in my mind. Go figure. Yes, reddish brown hair, not long, but the hair on top of the head looked almost like a human's hair, and there was no hair on the face. So that's weird. So I don't know. Grand Lake Paranormal and Cryptid Research says I seen a Bigfoot. Where at? Appalachian Tales of Terror Jimmy B says the one I saw was reddish brown. I don't know. The fact that he saw it twice.
Obviously not
states.
coincidence. I mean,
it can't be a coincidence, dude.
not with them looking as similar. I mean, if you saw an entirely different one, or a Gugwe or something, I'd be like, oh, okay. Like paranormal encounters.
Not one that looks exactly the
yeah,
same.
no. It's like it's either it's
'Cause
following.
it would be
him.
regional to me, I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, it just seems like it. It seems like that's kind of outside of its territory. I mean, what would it blend into with having that coloration? Really?
At a friend's house around Veneta, Oklahoma. So Grand Lake Paranormal and Cryptid Research, he saw a Bigfoot. That's because he was coming from Margaritaville. Yeah, I don't know. But we get Anthony's take on that in a minute here. What do you guys think in the comment section? I was just saying that this individual had seen a Bigfoot when he was in Louisiana, in northern Louisiana. Excuse me, folks. So in northern Louisiana, there was another sighting of this creature that looked very similar to the one he saw in Tennessee. And I and Tony both say that it wasn't a coincidence. What do you think?
I mean, like what?
Tony, tell him the details.
So the same person saw the same
So
creature.
he saw not exactly. So he saw a Bigfoot in Tennessee with his cousin first, reddish brown. Very unique coloring. Not unique in like you're not gonna ever see that coloring again, but like are in that area, but unique to where like it's a regional kind of creature. And then he goes to Louisiana and he sees basically what he believes to be not the exact same creature, but almost exactly the same kind of coloring, marking it like fraternal twins, basically. So like it would have to be from like the same kind of tribe or whatever. But it's really out of place for it to be kind of seen in Louisiana with those kind of colorings. At least I believe so. I mean, I might be wrong about that, but
Why would that be out of place?
well, if you think about how the colorings are regional, why would that specific Bigfoot that he sees again? He's only both his encounters are the exact kind of coloring and everything. So like that doesn't seem coincidental to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Basically, when you have like Dogman, Gugui, and other types of two-legged creatures out there in Louisiana, I wouldn't think that like
I
that
mean, well, first off, just the odds of seeing one of these things
exactly
one time is low enough, but then to see two of them is just
bizarre.
yeah. I mean, like I mean, I can kind of get it because at that point you have to start asking some serious questions, and ask yourself why, like what more is at work here that I'm seeing not just one of these creatures, but two of them when most people who walk this earth go their whole lives without seeing them at all.
Yeah, it's like when we do that, when we did that investigation, or the show hasn't dropped yet. For this upcoming Tuesday show, we talk about a couple different investigations, and one that we brought up was how these Bigfoots had that ashy. They would cover themselves in that ash.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, something very unique that they do. So when you see someone who had kind of the same a similar story and they mentioned that like they were kind of still ashy, you would think, oh, okay, maybe it's in that area where we've heard of them putting ash on themselves and doing stuff like that. It would
Mm-hmm.
kind of be like the same for me if I saw like a red and brown Bigfoot, and then immediately leaving the state, I saw another red and brown Bigfoot. I'd be, what are the odds of that?
Yeah. I think Tracker E left a comment somewhere. Oh, she said once you see one, you're looking for others, or maybe once you see one, you're more able to see others
I like to believe
because
that.
that was actually your idea. I don't know
Yeah,
if it was a couple of episodes or a couple of live streams back where like where the more you see these paranormal phenomenon, the more likely you are able to see them in the future. Not because they're around more, but because you can
yeah, they're
more
forcing you
easily
awake.
perceive
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
whether it's some kind of danger sense or whether it's just your body attuning to now these new experiences that you're being forced to see, but whether it's your mind's eye opening, so now you're just able to see this. I think it's more of like a forceful awaken on your part instead of them maybe doing something intentionally. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but I don't believe that they're intentionally going after you
Yeah, I mean, like, cause I don't think
like
that they
directly.
like whenever they appear to people. I think most of the time they're not actually appearing to people. They're just there, and
Constantly, yeah.
yeah, like because spirits are around us at all times, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like they don't. We don't summon them. Yeah, and actually, Abe Zia said on one of his videos had made a good point where like if whenever people think that they're summoning these spirits or these creatures, they're you're not being summoned. You are not summoning them. They're not being summoned by you. They're allowing you to believe that as a form of deception because if you're performing these different spiritual practices
It gives you like power.
and you're not doing it in Jesus' name, like whatever you're not doing in Christ's name, and you're basically just doing it in your own name, and then these spirits will deceive you by appearing to you and allowing you to believe that you have this power, that you do this, but it's really not. It's really just them allowing you to
Boost your
yeah,
ego.
to
Yeah.
perceive them, allowing you, whatever. I mean, whenever we go out looking for these things, they see us long before we see them. And
Well, I
and
mean,
if we see them, it's only because for one reason or another, beyond our own comprehension, they allow us to see them.
so when Jerry and Elle were here, Ella, they went up to the studio, and I think Wolf and Nelly went to drop off Scorp, so it was just you upstairs, and then me, Ella, and Jerry
Hmm.
outside, and we were just kind of looking around and like just following them around. You kind of learn like real quick, like, oh, once you figure out the tracks and know what you're looking for, you can't stop seeing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's something like that, to where it's like since people don't know what to look for, they're not being forced to understand what these things look like. They kind of have like this censoring filter, kind of, and they're just constantly around, just kind of like censored in our brain subconsciously, so that we don't
Yeah,
aren't.
because the human brain is hardwired to recognize patterns. So if there's a pattern that's always around you and you're not seeing it, but then someone points it out to you and then you know what that looks like, like there's no unseeing that.
Hmm.
You know, you're gonna have that in your mind.
No, it's just like, when someone sees someone a close friend, and they make like a funny description, or like they compare it to someone,
Mhm.
you're like, I can't stop seeing that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like you can quickly ruin like a TV show or like something that someone enjoys. You can quickly ruin it for them by like associating it with something that they don't like,
Hmm.
and then it's like what's been seen cannot be unseen. You know.
That happened all the time in high school. I think like a friend of mine was dating this girl, and then someone compared how, like, because they were real close friends, all of them, and then he was like, it's kind of weird how she looks so similar to her brother and her dad. And then he was like, I can't stop, I can't date her anymore because I can't stop seeing her brother and her dad every time I look at her.
Jeez.
And I'm like, oh man, he got over it, but it just stuck with him for a little bit.
Lee Tracker, he says like Sandra Bullock's Adam's apple.
Which is actually, some people they don't know this, and but women can have Adam's apple.
Uh-huh.
Like I see a lot of jokes about that, and it's funny in some ways. But it depends. Because some women have a higher level of testosterone. That doesn't make them not women.
Yeah.
But that they can actually have that. So that's not always an accurate way to judge. Whatever. Just letting you know.
Yeah, Dave Howell says just because pareidolia exists doesn't mean you aren't seeing something.
Great. More problems. So, anyways, folks, I'm gonna have to run. I got stuff going on. These people just they don't. It's ridiculous. I'm getting calls right this minute. Can't do anything right now. We're gonna have to figure out something. We can't go on like this. Had a couple of stories I wanted to tell, but folks, I can't do it. I got to go. So thank you for tuning in tonight. I'm sorry we have to leave. We're going to be deciding whether or not we continue with the live streams. At this point, we cannot accept. Can you talk to everybody? Tell them what's going on.
Yeah. So the current situation as it pertains to our Facebook group and our presence on Facebook. Period. If you send us a friend request, we're probably not going to accept it, and just understand that it's not personal. It's a temporary thing, just until all this stuff blows over, and it will, and you'll know when it does, and that's all I'm gonna say. And our Facebook group right now, it used to be a private group to where you could find the group, and you could request to join. But right now we've set it to a secret group, so you're not going to be able to find it. That means that we cannot accept new members right now because if you can't find it, we can't accept you. And that's just for the safety of our own members and of us. We've just gotten too many reports of people getting harassed just for being members of our Facebook group, or just for being on our friends list, or just for listening to us on YouTube, on leaving comments on our shows.
They're getting their accounts cloned. We're getting reports of
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, people are getting their accounts cloned,
Every
and
day
then
we wake up, there's a new nightmare that we're dealing with.
yeah, and then all the stuff that's happening to our listeners, the very people who are responsible for it are trying to flip the script, and they're saying that we're doing that they're suffering for it. It's a classic symptom of sociopathy and narcissism is to project.
Yeah.
Is to do something to someone and then accuse them of doing exactly what you're doing, and it's just
It's actually against
I don't. Yeah,
one of my biggest pet peeves.
I don't
is
want to go off on a rant about it, even though I
hypocrisy.
could. But that is the situation. That's what's happening. So, so yeah, I guess we're gonna turn that in early. So anything else you wanted to add, Wolf, before we call it a night?
We hope you guys like those stories. Thank you everybody for those donations and sitting with us.
I have to deal with more of this crap. I have a bunch of crap to deal with because of this stuff. I know they're watching and laughing and thinking it's cute.
Yeah. Laughing through them black rotting teeth in that lisp.
You should never attack women. Only I get to do that. Whatever, boy. That's all right. You have your time, and you probably think I'm joking or bluffing, but I never bluff. And I don't joke about things like this. When I'm telling you what I'm telling you right now, you're going to have your time, and then it's going to end. When it ends, you will know that it's over. Okay? That's not a physical threat. I'm telling you right now, I'm not physically threatening you because you're a coward, and if I did that, you'd run straight to whoever. Your mommy would make calls for you. But what's going to happen is you will get your karma. I see you talking in your groups about I'm getting my karma, this and that. No, you are the one that's going to pay for that. And at that point, there's no one going to save you or help you. So have fun right now. Enjoy your small victories of destroying our health and other things. You and your buddies. Good night, folks.